And the one on the left, the one that Randy Jr. is holding, that's his mom, Joanna. And then Randy Jr. is in the middle. My mom is over to the right, and then I'm next to her. So as you can tell, the moms are really short. My dad's pretty tall, and so are the kids. So this is my clan right here. And so Randy, me and Randy are 9 years apart. So when he was born, I was 9 years old, and I remember everything was going really good the first couple of years of his life. Like he was starting to know his name, he was potty trained, he was eating a whole bunch of different foods, he was very engaged, very active. And then all of a sudden, he completely made a complete change overnight. Like it happened within like a week or so. And personally, with our family, we believe that it was the shots that kind of messed him up. There, back in the day, when you are younger, you have to get a variety of different shots. Well, in the eras that Randy wasn't born in, they had three shots that you have to get in three separate times. But over Randy's era of being born, they combined all of those shots into one, and the autism rate for children skyrocketed. And then because once they started to figure out that data, they made the shots three separate shots again, and then the autism rate went down. So there's not anything really known that that was the cause of that, but it was just a coincidence where, Randy was doing so great and really developing as a young boy or a young child, then getting these shots, and a couple of weeks later, he was not the same at all. I mean, he was not potty trained anymore. He didn't know his name. His eye, like he didn't have eye contact anymore. He was very secluded off to the side, not wanting to be by anybody. He would only eat certain foods. So it went from him eating everything to him only eating chicken nuggets and french fries. Like that's all he would eat. He would not eat anything else. And so it was just very confusing about what was going on. And I remember, again, like I'm really young, so I was 9, 10, 11 years old when all this stuff was happening. So it was just really, it was really confusing because I really didn't know what was going on. Like I saw my brother being one way, and I was super excited to finally have a sibling after 9 years, to all of a sudden he doesn't want anything to do with us. Like he doesn't want us to touch him. He doesn't want to be around us. And it was just such this complete change that came out of nowhere. And I remember a lot of my family members going up to my stepmom and dad and saying hey, something isn't right. Like you should definitely go get him tested. Maybe there's something going on. And the reason why it kind of took 2 years in a sense is because my parents were really resistant towards it. They were like, no, nothing's wrong with our kid, and very protective, I guess, in a sense, and didn't really want to acknowledge that there could be something wrong. And so I remember we used to live in Livermore, and I used to go to school in San Jose because that's where my dad's work was and that's where my school was. So my dad and I would commute 45 minutes in the morning and then at nighttime. And I remember we were stuck in traffic going up to Livermore after school, and my dad was like, Amanda, I have something to tell you. And he just started bawling, crying. And I'm like, what's wrong? And he goes, Randy got diagnosed with autism. And I'm crying, but I really have no idea what that means. And so he was just kind of telling me that Randy's going to have a social disorder, and he may not be able to live on his own when he's older, or be able to have the same opportunities that I was given when I was younger. It's just going to be different. And I guess I was 11 at the time. I really didn't know what that was all going to entail. I was just kind of like, okay, he's going to be different, but I didn't know what that meant. And so what ended up happening with our family is we're going through these huge adjustments with Randy. I mean, he only wanted to do what he wanted to do. Anytime you try to force him to do something, it was like he was screaming and yelling and fighting us and very resistant to it. And I started to feel like all these emotions as an 11-year-old of just like very embarrassed. Like, I don't know if you guys have ever been to a restaurant and the kid behind you is screaming, yelling, throwing a fit, and you're like, shut your kid up. You know what I mean? Like, we're trying to enjoy our dinner. And, that's what we always thought because we never had to deal with this situation before. But then again, it also made us realize like we don't judge people anymore when they're yelling and screaming behind us of the child, because with Randy, you don't know what type of day he's going to have. You don't know if you're going to go somewhere and he's going to be happy or he's going to be pissed off and we have to like pack our stuff up and leave. And so I remember like at first I was super embarrassed. Like, I was super embarrassed to go to a restaurant and he's crying, he's yelling and screaming, he's upset, everyone's looking at us. It was just really embarrassing. And so I remember that was one of the feelings and emotions I had. Another emotion I had was just being very angry because as an 11-year-old, we're going to Great America, and you're so excited to go to Great America. You're all pumped as a kid, or go to Disneyland, something like at the movies. And you're just so excited. And then we get there and Randy's having a fit. And we have to end up getting there and turning back around, or we go in there for an hour or two or 20 minutes and then we have to turn around and go back out. And so it was just something where I was just being very selfish because I really wanted to go do these things and we couldn't because my brother could not handle it because he has sensory I don't want to say like a sensory disorder, but his senses are very like profound. So when dogs bark, when he hears loud noises, like it covers his ears, it hurts him really bad. So like different things like that we couldn't do. I guess I was in a sense also too just very judgmental with Randy. Like, why can't you do these things that I could do? Why can't you do these things that other kids can do? And I was like, not being rude or mean to him, but just having these feelings inside and kind of displaying them with my dad and my stepmom because I was little. I didn't know what was really going on. So those are kind of the feelings and emotions I was experiencing kind of throughout my childhood in a sense. And it wasn't too long. I would want to say it was maybe like a year or so because again, you're coping, you're changing, you're adapting to this new environment that you have to create for yourself. And so then it turned into like acceptance because I had to accept that we can't change him. Like, this is how he's going to be forever. And we just have to get over the embarrassment or shame or being judged by other people where it was just like, they don't know. They don't know what we're dealing with. And, we're going to do the best that we can, but we have to keep pushing him to do things because eventually he will like it. In that type of sense. I mean, I remember my stepmom would literally like drag him to the movies and and it was a success just getting him in the door, and then we would pay for a ticket and then we would have to leave. And then a week later we would go in and we watched 2 credits and then we had to leave. So all this pushing him and making him do things, now we're reaping the benefits of it because he loves movies and he loves going to arcades and bowling. But in the beginning, it was so hard. I mean, it was like pulling teeth with him to go anywhere. And I'm really happy that we were persistent and kept doing it because now he loves all those things. So I think acceptance is a huge thing of just learning to accept all of him. I mean, the good, the bad, the ugly, everything about what was going to happen with our family. And that he just didn't mean to act this way. And it's not his fault. I mean, it's not that he chose to be this way. He just was that way. And also, too, like, seeing it once in a while is one thing, but actually living in it is a different thing. So me just seeing that this wasn't something he was choosing to do, like seeing him, I did every other week with my mom and dad. So coming back home to the same thing, it was like, yeah, like I just have to accept him for who he is. So that was definitely a process that you got to kind of go through. And then it's just been so rewarding as a sister to just see his personal growth. I mean, in this picture, you can see, like, you know, he's very, I played volleyball weekend tournaments, and Randy was just always around a whole bunch of people. And at first, it was very overwhelming for him, and he didn't want anything to do with it. But then, as the years went by, and it started to become his routine, because I mean, they're all about their routine. If you knock off their routine, they are gonna get heated. And so it just became a part of his routine, like volleyball games. I remember in the beginning, it would literally be one or the other parent coming in for 5 minutes of my volleyball game, you know, and I'm sitting there disappointed, like, damn, like I want my family to be able to all watch me, but Randy can't. So they would bring him in for 5 minutes, take him out. They would bring him in for 10 minutes, take him out. So it was just one of those things where it was really cool to see Randy kind of mimic me in a sense, because I love people. I love talking to people. I love learning about people. I love everything about this. And I want to say that Randy learned that from me, in a sense of coming to my volleyball games and wanting to be with my teammates and wanting to go say hi to people, because again, we're tall, so we attract a lot of people coming up to us. And so now he's 21, and he is the most friendliest angel in the world. Like, he will go up to random strangers like, hi, what's your name? And like just start talking to them and wanting to engage, which is crazy because that's not normally how autistic children um, display themselves. And so it's really cool because, yeah, Randy is supposed to be socially awkward and really not able to have those skills. And also too, they're not affectionate at all. But Randy is, because we would just like grab him and hug him and like hold on as long as we could until he loved it. And so now he like um, gives you kisses and hugs and tells you he loves you, or what we do anytime he gets into like a tantrum or something, he loves to be like rubbed on, and it calms him down and gets him into a better state of mind. And so, yeah, it's just been such a great process to see how hard it was in the beginning to see where it is now. And just his communication has gotten better. Can he sit here and have a conversation like we're having right now? No. But, you know, he can sit there and say, hi, how you doing? What's your name? And somewhat communicate with you. He's really aware of emotion. So if he sees me crying, he'll come over and be like, Amanda, don't cry, and start wiping off my tears. And it just makes you like stop crying, because it's like the cutest thing to see him like care so much. And his personality, I mean, he loves to make people laugh. Like, he'll do the funniest things just to crack up. And you know, he loves Will Ferrell. Will Ferrell, like the Talladega Nights. He loves Step Brothers. Like, he has a really good sense of humor. He loves Jim Carrey and The Mask and all of that. So that's been really fun. And then his hobbies. I mean, he loves to go bowling. Like, that's his big thing. Bowling is a huge thing. He loves puzzles. He's 21 years old, but he still watches Barney and he still watches Elmo. And we're getting more adult films in, but that's his go-to, the Wiggles, you know. So it's just one of those things where people come in and they just know Randy and they love him and accept him for who he is, and we have a really big support system around him. So that's really great. Um, Randy did go to Sobrato in Morgan Hill, and he was able to be mainstream. So he took all these different classes there, like PE, art, different life skills classes, and he was actually able to get his little diploma from Sobrato. So that was really cool. And honestly, like, he's just an inspiration to me. I live for my brother, and I try to live every day to the fullest and do anything and everything that I possibly can, because I know my brother will never have the chance to do that. And I want to take advantage of everything that I can do, because you look at him and he isn't able to live on his own. He isn't able to drive. He isn't really able to, do things that people would regularly do once they start to get older. And so I really have tried to live my life to the fullest because of him, because there's someone that gives me a reason to do that. So that's what I do with my brother. And then any type of struggle that I'm facing, or hardship or adversity, like, I just think about him. I think about when I would walk into his room when he was like 5 years old, and my stepmom's there just trying to teach him different words and trying to get him to talk and trying to get him to be engaged with people. Like, he's dealt with so much hardship, and it's one of those things where it's like, if he can do it, I can do it. So that's kind of just like my little story of how I personally went through that transformation and growth as well with my brother. And he, like I said, he's 21 now. He was at a school in Morgan Hill that taught him life classes, where he was going to work every day, learning how to take public transportation. He loved school. Like, he loved school people. All of his friends, all the people in his class grew up with him. So he had all of his friends in his class. Like, he was so happy. But then Corona happened, and he's high risk because he's autistic, and because of him being autistic, he actually developed epilepsy when he was about 12 years old, and so now he has seizures. So we can't really have him out and about, and he's not going to just sit here and be on the computer to like see his friends and stuff. So now we just do different little like art projects with him, and puzzles and reading, and kind of have like a little routine that he does every single day. And his big thing right now is he's decorating the house for Halloween, and bought some pumpkins, and he paints them and gives them to people for gifts. So he's very thoughtful and very sweet, and I'm just really grateful to have him. So thank you for letting me share my story. And I think if you guys have any questions or anything, you guys are more than welcome to ask anything.
I guess no one has any questions for Miss Gill. Thank you for presenting and like taking your time off and presenting for our club.
My pleasure.
Thank you again. We also recorded the session so we can send it to some of the people who missed. I think we usually have a little bit more people, but I think because it's the 4-day week, like everyone kind of got confused with the schedule and all.
No problem at all. I'm just really grateful. If you guys ever need me again, please ask. I would love to be here.
Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you, guys. Have a great day. Be safe.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.